Why is your belly growing after 40 even when you eat the same way? Why does your waist feel tighter even when the scale barely moves? Why do you wake up tired, bloated, and already craving something sweet before the morning has even started? Why does your body feel completely different since perimenopause began? Why does nothing seem to work the way it used to? These are not rhetorical questions. They are questions millions of women are asking quietly. Usually while standing in front of the mirror. Usually while pulling on pants that fit differently than they did a year ago. Usually while feeling something they struggle to explain to anyone around them. A body that used to respond. A body that used to follow certain rules. A body that now feels like it is running a different operating system, and no one gave you the manual. My name is Audrey Larkwell. I have spent years exploring what actually changes in a woman's body after 40. Not from a textbook alone, but from conversations, from the women who come to me feeling defeated by their own reflection, from the women who are doing everything they used to do and getting a completely different result, and from my own experience navigating a body that shifted beneath me in ways I did not expect and was not prepared for. So when I say I understand the question, why is this happening? I mean it, not as a clinical observation, as a human one. Here is what no one tells you before perimenopause begins. The body does not just change how it looks, it changes how it works. Estrogen starts to fluctuate in ways that affect more than the reproductive system. It affects fat distribution, it affects how the body responds to insulin, it affects muscle maintenance, it affects sleep quality, it affects the stress recovery system, it affects cravings, mood, energy, and the way the gut handles food. And when all of these shift at the same time, the old routine, the one that worked at 35, stops producing the same results. Not because you stopped trying, because the internal environment changed, and the routine never changed with it. This is why the belly grows even when you eat the same way. This is why the waist tightens even when the scale barely moves. This is why you wake up tired after sleeping enough hours. This is why cravings hit hardest at night when your body finally stops moving and starts asking for something it could not get during the day. The problem is not your willpower. The problem may be that you are still using yesterday's map to navigate a completely new territory. And here is the part most women miss. The belly that grows during perimenopause is not always the same kind of belly gain women experienced in their 20s or 30s. Some of it may be subcutaneous fat, the softer layer just beneath the skin, but some of it may be visceral fat, deeper, harder to address with simple restriction, metabolically active, connected to blood sugar management, inflammation, and the hormonal environment the body now lives inside. Visceral fat does not respond well to punishment. It does not respond well to starvation. It does not respond well to hours of cardio that leave you exhausted but do not address the signals the body is actually receiving. What it responds to is something calmer, more strategic, more honest about what this stage of life actually requires. And that is what I want to walk you through today. Not a miracle plan, not a detox, not a promise that everything changes in 1 week, but a daily routine that speaks to the body you have now, not the body you had at 35, the body you have today. And the routine is simpler than it sounds. 3 pillars. The first is the morning reset, how you begin the day and what signals you send the body before demands arrive. The second is meal strategy, how you eat to protect muscle, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce the cravings that hit hardest at night. The third is evening recovery, how you end the day in a way that lets sleep, the nervous system, and hormones actually restore. Everything else fits inside one of those 3. Let me walk you through each one. The first part of this routine is the morning signal. Most women in perimenopause start the morning against their body. The alarm goes off. They feel the weight of a broken night. They reach for coffee before anything else. They skip water. They skip light. They rush into the demands of the day without ever giving the body a signal that the day has started in a calm, supported way. And that matters more than most people realize, because the body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm that governs sleep, hunger, cortisol, and metabolism, depends on light and routine to stay calibrated. After a disrupted night caused by hot flashes, night sweats, or waking anxiety, the body needs an even clearer signal. Open the curtains first. Step outside for a few minutes if you can. Drink a full glass of water before the coffee arrives. Not because this alone changes the belly, but because it sets the tone for the hormonal and metabolic conversation the rest of the day is about to have. A body that receives a clear morning signal has a better chance of regulating hunger, energy, and cravings through the hours that follow. The second part is a breakfast that actually supports the body. This is where so many women make the mistake of trying to shrink by skipping. They start with only coffee. They delay eating until noon. They tell themselves this is discipline. But what happens by mid-afternoon is not discipline. It is a blood sugar crash that arrives wearing the mask of a sugar craving. And by evening, the sugar wins. Not because you lack willpower. Because the body was underfueled all day and is now looking for quick energy in the only language it knows. A breakfast built around protein and fiber changes this conversation before it starts. Protein protects muscle. Fiber slows the blood sugar curve. Together, they create the kind of stable morning energy that makes cravings easier to manage hours later, not because you are fighting them, but because you built a foundation that reduces their urgency. Eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt with berries and ground flax, oats with protein and chia seeds, beans with avocado on whole grain, tofu scramble with greens, simple meals that send the body a message it can use. If your old routine stopped working, do not keep blaming yourself. Learn the new signals your body is asking for. The guide in the first link of the description was created for this exact moment. It walks through the complete daily approach, the signals, the habits, and the natural daily support that fits into a real routine without demanding perfection. The guide is waiting for you. Click the first link in the description and see. The third part is movement after meals. Not a full workout, not a long run. 10 minutes of walking after 1 or 2 meals each day. This is one of the most underrated tools available for managing blood sugar after 40. When muscles work after a meal, they can pull glucose from the bloodstream more effectively. That reduces the spike, that reduces the crash, that reduces the craving that follows, and over time, repeated daily, it contributes to the kind of insulin sensitivity that makes fat storage less likely and energy more stable. Not dramatic, but real. And real, repeated consistently, is what produces lasting change. The fourth part is strength training, 2 or 3 times a week. This is where the routine for visceral fat becomes fundamentally different from what most women expect. The instinct when the belly grows is to do more cardio, more walking, more sweating, more calorie burning. But in perimenopause, the body may be losing muscle, quietly, gradually, without dramatic announcement. And lost muscle means a slower resting metabolism. Lost muscle means the body uses glucose less efficiently. Lost muscle means the ratio of fat to lean tissue slowly shifts in a direction the mirror and the waistband both notice. Strength training tells the body to keep the muscle. Bodyweight squats, glute bridges, wall push-ups, resistance band rows, dumbbell presses, step-ups. Simple exercises that send a clear biological message. This muscle is needed. Maintain it. 2 or 3 sessions per week is enough to begin shifting the composition conversation, but to give the body a reason to hold on to the lean tissue that keeps metabolism working in your favor. The fifth part is an honest evening routine, and this may be the piece most women overlook entirely. Night is when cravings get loudest. Night is when anxiety tends to surface. Night is when hot flashes arrive uninvited. Night is when the decisions that affect tomorrow are actually made. If sleep is broken, tomorrow starts with less patience, higher hunger, more brain fog, and less motivation to maintain the habits that support the routine. Sleep is not separate from the belly. It is part of the belly conversation. A cooler room, a consistent bedtime, less alcohol, which worsens hot flashes and disrupts the second half of sleep for many women. Less caffeine in the afternoon, less screen stimulation in the final hour before bed. A calmer wind down that tells the nervous system it is safe to let go. And when hot flashes, night sweats, persistent insomnia, or waking anxiety are regularly affecting sleep, that deserves a conversation with someone qualified to help. Because broken sleep that gets ignored becomes belly fat, brain fog, mood instability, and morning exhaustion that no routine can fully compensate for. The sixth part is stress. Not as a separate topic, but as a physical one. After 40, the body may recover from chronic stress more slowly than it used to. Cortisol, the stress hormone, influences appetite, cravings, and where the body chooses to store fat. When cortisol stays elevated, the abdominal region tends to accumulate more, not from anything you ate, from what the nervous system is carrying. So the daily routine must include something that tells the nervous system it is allowed to come down. 5 minutes of slow breathing, a walk without the phone, sitting outside with nothing demanding attention, journaling, stretching before sleep, whatever works for you specifically, it belongs in the routine, not as a luxury, as a metabolic tool. And this is where everything starts to make sense together. The morning signal calms the rhythm. The protein breakfast stabilizes the fuel. The post-meal walk uses the energy. The strength training builds the engine. The evening routine protects the recovery. The stress practice lowers the pressure. 6 connected pieces, each one sending the body a signal, each signal building on the one before. And then there is one more piece that I want to add honestly. Some women find that the 6 habits I just described work better, feel more consistent, produce more visible results, require less effort to maintain, when they are also supported by a clean, plant-based daily supplement that fits into the morning routine without complication. Not as a replacement for any of the above, not as a magic solution, but as a daily layer of nutritional support that addresses what the perimenopausal body specifically needs and what diet alone does not always reliably provide. Blood sugar that is more stable makes cravings easier to manage. A gut that is less inflamed responds better to fiber and movement. Cellular energy that is better supported makes the motivation to maintain the routine more consistently available. And when the inflammatory load is lower, the body tends to respond more readily to the strength training and post-meal walking that visceral fat reduction depends on. This is what a thoughtfully formulated, natural daily supplement can quietly contribute, not by doing the work, but by supporting the internal environment in which the work produces results. The kind of support that builds over weeks, not days. Consistent, simple, easy to add to the morning without disrupting the routine. What I want you to walk away with today is not a promise. I want you to walk away with a different relationship to what your body has been doing. The belly is not a failure, it is a signal. The cravings are not weakness, they are information. The broken sleep is not inevitable, it is something that can be supported. The fatigue is not permanent, it is the body asking for better conditions. And the waist that changed is not a life sentence. It is the body navigating a transition that requires a new kind of care. Not punishment, not restriction, not shame, care. The kind of daily, consistent, quietly powerful care that this stage of life actually responds to. If you recognized your own pattern in more than one of these pieces, the morning that feels heavy, the cravings that arrive at night, the belly that does not move, the sleep that does not restore, then do not keep guessing. The guide in the first link of the description explains the complete approach, the daily routine, the natural support that works alongside it, and the clearer path forward for women navigating visceral fat during perimenopause. The guide is waiting for you. Click the first link in the description and see. And if the link is hard to find, the same guide is in the pinned comment below this video, because you deserve a map that matches the territory you are actually in. Not the one from 5 years ago. This one. Now. After 40, in perimenopause, where different signals produce different results, and where the right daily routine can begin to feel like something your body finally recognizes. If this video helped you see visceral fat in perimenopause with more clarity and less blame, please subscribe to the channel. Every week, we explore the hormonal shifts, the metabolic patterns, and the daily habits that help women after 40 feel stronger, lighter, clearer, and more at home in their own bodies. Your body is not broken. It is in transition. And transitions, when they are properly supported, do not have to feel like defeat. They can feel like the beginning of something that actually works.